I think that everybody is being way too hard on the new Travelers. So what we're going to do is, I looked up on TotalWine.com and found the rating on Travelers. We know it's about 40 bucks, so we're going to go into Total Wine. We're going to find a bottle that is similar to Travelers, similarly rated, and similarly priced. And then I'm going to try and side by side and see if I'm right or if this is really garbage. This may or may not be my favorite place on the whole planet. I'm just saying. Maybe. All right, so what we're looking for today is I want to find a high rye bourbon, something around 40 bucks. And as you can see, the Travelers was not rated very well on TotalWine.com. So I want to try and find something also in the low 3 stars range. So a lot to choose from. So let's just take a look at a few things. All right, so obviously we're going to go to the bourbon section. Let's see what they got as long as we're here. There's private barrel selection and a toasted barrel Elijah Craig. So we need something cheap, and we need something not that great. Four Roses, I think that one's going to be a little bit too well rated. Elijah Craig's a little too cheap. I got some Dickel, maybe, but I don't know if that Dickel is going to have the right rating. Let's see, Hooker's House. Nope, Hooker's House is a Pinot finish, so that's not going to work. We really need something that's not finished. Not a weeder. Larceny won't work. So Total Wine has always got a lot of these Spirits Direct selections that tend to not be rated all that great, but we are looking for something about 90 proof. That one's a little bit cheaper, though. I'm going to try and find something that's right in that $40 range. I do want to point this one out just because this is way off topic, but that is one heck of a good bottle. It's not super cheap, but if you can find yourself that Frey Ranch Farm Strength Uncut, that is a good bottle. You know, we could use the old Granddad, about 30 bucks, but we know that's going to just crush that that Traveler, so that's not going to work. Ooh, there's the old Still Austin. Nice to see the red corn bottled in bond. It's the first time we've seen a bottled in bond offering here in California. Price on it's, I guess it's about right. Okay, so maybe the Wilcots. Let's see what we got. Wilcots. That's Barton's distillate. That's way too high a proof, 120. Do they have a lower proof one? All right, so maybe that might be an option. The Wilcott, 90 proof, Kentucky bourbon, straight bourbon. I'm not sure what the rye mash on the, let's see if it says on the, it says nice bite of rye. Okay, so that might be an option, right at $30, a little cheaper, but close. I think we can do better than that. Okay, so interestingly, the marketing juggernaut that Buffalo Trace is, I didn't even see this when we came in. They actually have a display of the old Travelers. Chris Stapleton. He's not even the drinker at. Anyway, I do want to point out, though, that they have the Travelers down here. There's price just for reference. In the old American whiskey section on the back of the aisle. Once the front display is gone, that's not going to be a good look for the Travelers. But again, I think we're being too hard on it. So I think I found our bottle of what we're going to go for to compare against Travelers and see if I'm right and it's not that bad and we've been too hard on it, or if it actually is trash. Okay, here's what we're going to go with. So it is also $39 within a couple of bucks. Not counting the coupon. We're going to ignore the coupon, but score on that. Ching. So this is Wilcott Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It is a Spirits Direct, but it is a high rye, same proof point, also about 3.5 stars rated here at Total Wine. So this is going to be our comparison. It does say aged 4 to 6 years. I know they don't age state Travelers, but I think this is as close as we're going to get. So this is what we're going to compare. Is this going to be better or worse than Travelers whiskey from Buffalo Trace? Is the only way I'm going to find out. Let's go do it. All right, so we're back from the Total Wine. I've got my bottle of Travelers. I've got my bottle of Bondstone. Okay, so let me explain to you first of all why I picked this one. One, the ratings on these were really, really close. Travelers is rated at a 3.8. There's some not great reviews on this one for sure. My favorite review on Total Wine's website was by Gustavo. It said one word, yuck. Love regular Buffalo Trace. I feel like a sucker on this one. Fool me once. I think that's a great example of why I wanted to do this, is because he expected it to be something that it wasn't. This is definitely not Buffalo Trace. It is a 90 proofer. We don't know the exact mash bill on either one of these, but we know that this has got some Canadian in there and some Barton, so it's probably got a high rye, probably more than 50%. But I did go with the Bondstone from Total Wine, because this is rated a 3.8. This was rated a 3.5. Now it is a bourbon, but it is a high rye bourbon. It is right on. This was 38 bucks. This was 39 bucks. It did seem like it had a few of the same tasting notes on the side of it. We're going to see them. It'll open up here in a minute. We're going to see what it's really like. But also had not so great reviews. My favorite one was by JCH31. Not good. Price wasn't bad. Taste was awful. Nah, it's not really a shining review. So let's just open them up and see what they're like and what's what. Even on the cheap bourbons, got to respect the pop. Okay. I'd say that was better than the Travelers. We'll give that one to Bondstone. Okay, pour it out just a little bit. We're going to let those air out for a little bit. If you watched my review of Travelers, you know that I wasn't really that upset by it. But like all things, I tend to set my bar of expectation low. That way I'm not disappointed, and that doesn't really jade my opinion of things. I wasn't expecting anything from this at all. I just wanted to try it. I did notice that it said bottled at Buffalo Trace. I figured that meant it wasn't Buffalo Trace. I wasn't really expecting this to be that. But other than that, just kind of open-minded. My notes on this one were cornbread, vanilla, and oak on the nose. Vanilla, caramel, and really little to no spice on the palate. And the finish was short with vanilla and light oak. We're going to revisit today and see if it's changed a little bit. I couldn't find much out about Bondstone. This was really kind of a mystery as far as trying to figure out what the mash bill is. I know that it is a high rye mash bill. It's 90 proof, just like the Traveler. There's no disclosure, but a high rye bourbon mash bill, probably 35-ish% or 30-35%. I'm going to see if I can take a guess at it when I try it here. Very little information online about this. It's distilled by IJW Whiskey, which if you look online, their website isn't even completed yet. I was able to find out, though, that they contract distill with about 5 different distilleries in Kentucky. They don't have their own distillery. They just have giant rick houses, and they do have a property on Whiskey Row. Not sure what's going on with that, but they're a little secretive. It's kind of interesting, but I did notice on a video that one of the markings on the end of the barrel would indicate that they did at least some distilling with Bardstown, but for whatever that's worth, I have no idea if this is from Bardstown. No idea. So let's get into these bad boys. So this is supposed to be at least 4 years old. It's not bonded because it's not 100 proof, but that does smell a little young. A little sweeter. This does have a little bit of that Buffalo Trace characteristic of having kind of sweet nose to it. I will say the vanilla is a little more present. That cornbread is backed off a little bit. Definitely still a very light spice. Vanilla. I'm gonna repeat that I really like the Traveler fine. I think for 40 bucks, it's really not bad. We're gonna see how it compares to this one, but Buffalo Trace doesn't put out bad product, yo. And I don't think this one is bad. The finish is a little short, as I remembered. Okay, I'm nervous about this. It's very rare that I'll go and buy a $40 bottle of Spirit Select from Total Wine. It's a running joke online. It's not always a smart thing to do. You never know what you're going to get. Okay, I was just getting a light nose, a little bit of honey, a little vanilla, a little apple. So that's different. Not a lot going on there. There's not a lot going on there. There's kind of a bready, biscuity note to it. Okay, this says high rye bourbon. There's some rye spice to it. More than the Traveler. Man, it cannot be that high rye, though. High rye is a very vague term. I'm going to back off and say that I think the rye content in this is lower. Maybe in the 20s. I mean, that's a blatant guess. But it's just not hitting me as very spicy. There's a little bit of oakiness to it, but it's very light. Okay, that's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. So the nose on the Bondstone is very light, even compared to the Travelers. Which is unexpected. Because the Bondstone does seem to have a little darker color to it. There is kind of a honey biscuit note on this that it's not really terribly pleasant. Where normally it was, because it seems a little young, it's a little grainy. The point of this video was, if I took two similarly priced products that were similarly rated by the public and tried them back to back, will it be apparent to me that Traveler's whiskey is being rated too low because of people's presumptions and biases as to what it was going to be, the celebrity hype, and the fact that it was Buffalo Trace, and probably some of that it went out on the secondary at a high price. I told y'all not to do it, now it's everywhere. Have people been rating that lower because of the disappointment? Here's the reveal. Travelers is better than this. It's more pleasant. It's sweeter. This has got, there's a bit of a young note to it that this does not really seem to have in the same way. It's not quite as dominating. I know this is a bourbon, so that grainy, the corniness in there. Maybe not in this one because the corn content is lower, but bottom line, these two are sitting on the shelf here at my house. I'm going to reach for this more. I like this more. I like it more. And it does back up my assertion that this bottle is unfairly rated low. I saw this at Costco for $31. This is a solid, it's a fine bottle for $31. You just can't go into it thinking that it's Buffalo Trace, because it's not Buffalo Trace. It's bottled by Buffalo Trace. It's a Sazerac product. A Sazerac product for $30 at 90 proof. It's got a nice, easy blend to it. It's not spiky. It's pretty well balanced. It's not super interesting. I mean, neither one of these are super interesting. They're actually very one-dimensional, maybe two-dimensional, but definitely not three-dimensional. They're just kind of inexpensive whiskey offerings. But I'm going to give it to the Travelers, even though you guys have been really hard on it. It is better than this. And I got a feeling that it's probably better if you were to blind it and not know what it is. It's probably better than a lot of really cheap whiskeys. I mean, Buffalo Trace is no slouch. Neither Sazerac. So there you go. It looks like, at least for now, maybe I'm a little biased because I think I'm pretty smart, that I was right about the Traveler whiskey. Y'all are being too hard on it. It's not as bad as y'all are trying to make it sound like. And for $31 at Costco, I don't know how anybody could complain about this whiskey, other than the fact that if you paid over $100, they got you. Anyway, I'm Conrad. This has been my personal experiment. I can tell you, this Bondstone bourbon over at the Total Wine, it's not terrible, but it's not great. You're going to want to get one of those 20% off coupons if you go to get this one, because I'd say under $30 is probably the appropriate price point for that. But it is a 4-year-old bourbon. It could be worse. But I'm Conrad. Thanks for following. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Check me out on all the other platforms. If you haven't seen the Patreon, the Discord, you should at least think about it. But TikTok, Instagram, Threads, I think we're going to do that new one. I don't remember what it's called. You can find me on YouTube and all over the place. So thanks a lot, you guys. Thanks for coming. And quit being so dang hard on the Travelers. It ain't that bad. Chris Stapleton, send me a t-shirt or something. I got your back, bro.